Tuesday. Guy. Off my bridge. Yes! 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 Hello and welcome. Today we are looking at how to use the mission briefs and expanding upon those mission briefs that Modiphius releases for Star Trek Adventures 2 and 1. As a matter of fact, and this was a request by Eric Martin. Now, if you have an idea for a show or a request for information or a question, whatever it might be, leave it in the comments down below, and then I will add it to my list, and like Eric Martin, I will try my very best to answer your question. The mission briefs that come from Modiphius you can find on the Modiphius website, and you can download them, and usually they are available free of charge. This is a remarkable resource and a wonderful library to delve into. But how do we use them? I grabbed the free copy of the 5-year missions, which was released for Star Trek Adventures 2, and I had a look at it. It is a wonderful collection of missions, but we need to understand how to use them in order to actually implement them and bring them into our game. And so this is my process. I have a few steps that I follow. As usual, you know me, I like my steps. I read the adventure so that I can get a glimpse as to what the whole thing is about. I understand the adventure. I try to really see exactly what's going on, what the triggers and the levers are, where the moments are that should be critical and the ones that are not so critical. I read it again to make sure that I have actually understood what's going on and I haven't started to make up stuff as I'm trying to understand the adventure. I compare the adventure to my current player group and their approach. This is critical. Your players and your crew and your ship and your time frame and all that kind of stuff, that is different to what the author had in mind. Because the author did not have your crew or your game in mind. They had a generic space in mind. And so you need to compare and say, well, this whole negotiation, the author has assumed that my player characters are going to investigate what's going on. They're not that kind of player. They're going to beam down and start shooting people. Then do my final step, which is adjust. I need to adjust the adventure after I have compared it to make sure that it's actually going to work for my players. So that's what I do. Read, understand, read, compare, and adjust. Part of understanding the adventure is to look at things like tone. What is the tone of the adventure? Is it super serious? Is it slightly silly? Is it something that could be triggering to your players? All of this is important. The tone is going to help you as you are running the adventure. So if you can identify and write in big words, tone, grimdark, serious, whimsical, musical, comedy, detective, mystery, write down the core concept that you believe is behind the mission brief, and that's going to help you because when you are adding stuff in on the fly, because you are going to have to, you can fall back onto that tone and go, well, whatever I'm adding in needs to still have the same tone so that it feels like a cohesive, cogent story. You need to understand the adventure type as well. Not only is it grimdark, but this is a courtroom drama. So there's lots of investigation. There's hidden secrets. There's personal investigations. There's personal interrogations. There's personal stories that will be revealed. Or is it an action adventure? Is it just straight up combat? Is it a chase? Is it a race? Understanding the adventure type, again, is going to help you when you are making up stuff, when you are padding out things. It just gives you support way before you even need it. Look at the difficulty of the concepts within the adventure as well. Is this a highbrow concept? Actinides hidden within asteroids to drain power from ships, requiring the PCs and by extension the players to understand the physics of space and that decompressing the cargo bay will push the ship forward or not? How difficult is it from that perspective, from a conceptual perspective? Is this kind of stuff that your players are going to enjoy, or are they going to sit there scratching their heads going, I have no idea what's going on. I'm not a science geek. I've watched a couple episodes of Star Trek, but I haven't absorbed the episodes of Star Trek. You need to make sure that it's not too difficult for your players or too easy for your players as well. If they're all Star Trek aficionados, you might read the mission brief and go, oh, but this is like this episode, this episode, this episode, and that episode. I need to tweak it. I need to adjust it. I need to upscale it, or I really need to do something, because otherwise they're going to see through it in the opening act. Finally, you need to look at the scale of the adventure. Is this a galaxy-threatening adventure? Is this a intimate onboard ship adventure just between the PCs and one other or two other characters? Understanding the scale, like the tone and the adventure type, is going to help you when you need to add in stuff, just because it gives you those guide rails to say, hey, you don't need a subplot that's going to blow up the whole universe. This is an intimate little story about personal connections, about family. We don't need that stuff. Save that for next week. For this week, bring in some more intimate stuff, personal histories, things like that. So with all of that in mind as to what we can adjust and tweak and what we should be looking at and shouldn't be looking at, we can then actually look at the mission brief itself. Modiphius has a specific style guide that they use for their mission briefs. And it's changed a little bit over time, but generally the same components are always there. They have an era of play and a spotlight. What particular officer class is going to be most prominently featured in the adventure. It's important for you to read that information. Think about the eras of play. If the adventure is set in the 2360s, and you're running a game in the 32nd century, there are a lot of differences between the technology that's available, between the mindsets of the crew and the player characters. The understanding of the universe is very different as well. So you need to look at it and go, well, if this was set in the 2250s and I'm in the 32nd century or 34th century, whatever, what do I need to adjust to accommodate that time difference? When it comes to the role that the adventure is going to be relying heavily on, make sure that if you are stringing together multiple of these mission briefs, that you're alternating between the roles that are spotlighted. It's a really useful way of going, well, this one was a security one where there was more emphasis on security, so next adventure is going to be on command or on medical. Let's go from action adventure with security, let's go more scientific-y, exploration-y. It's just a really easy way of you being able to keep your campaign overall, or your series of adventures, dynamic and different. The mission briefs use the concept of major beats and minor beats. And all of these are the major events, the major moments within the adventure. And it's a guideline, it's a suggestion saying, well, this is the first major beat. The PCs meet the aliens, and the aliens are openly hostile. The next major beat might be to rescue one of the aliens that has been stranded in the lava field. This will get the aliens in the third beat to come together and thank the party and form a new alliance. What you need to do is understand the flow of those beats and to get an idea of what the writer was trying to do. They were trying to take the PCs on a journey where the PCs have to put aside the animosity of the enemy and to do the right thing morally. What this means is that if you understand how these beats are combining together and what the intention of the writer was, you can then go, okay, cool, I need to expand this adventure. I want it to run for multiple sessions. I don't want it to just be a sort of a one-shot type of thing. I want more. You can then break down each of those beats and say, okay, well, the beat where they meet the aliens, let's double that up. Let's make it 2 beats. So firstly, the PCs arrive on a planet. It seems deserted and isolated. There's a few things here and there. There's some signs of settlements, but there aren't any visible inhabitants. That's beat number 1. Beat number 2 is now the confrontation with these inhabitants who launch an all-out attack against the PCs, forcing them to withdraw back to their shuttle and to take off and leave before it's too late, before they are overrun. So now we've doubled the amount of beats. We can then still go back to the original second beat, which was rescuing the alien that was trapped in the lava flow, for example. We can break this into 2. That there is a distress signal that the PCs pick up from space. They realize it's one of these hostile aliens. The hostile aliens can't detect it because of interference or because of this or because of that. Is it even a distress signal? It could be a signal, and the PCs have to interpret it as a distress signal. So again, you can break these beats down into more beats if you want to expand it, or you can look at it and go, oh, actually, you know what? Let's just start with the rescuing of the alien rather than with the hostile encounter to begin with. The minor beats are additional ideas that you can add in to expand on the narrative. I personally look at the minor beats as subservient to the major beats, but not as my subplot. Now, traditionally, Star Trek adventures always have a subplot that runs parallel to the main plot. Two crew members are doing something on the side that has nothing to do with the apparent major adventure that's going on. This is a technique that you can use in running your games to basically split the party, but also to keep players engaged. So whilst the Doctor has nothing technically to do in the alien adventure, they are running a new test on a bacteria that was found on the planet. And they discover that this bacteria actually causes hostility in the aliens themselves, and if the bacteria is neutralized, the aliens become friendly. Something along those lines. That's a good subplot to keep the Doctor busy whilst all of this other stuff is going on. You introduce a subplot if you want to expand the mission brief. And oftentimes the mission briefs won't have a subplot simply because they're trying to be one-page adventures, or they're giving you the bigger picture and you're left to fill in the blanks, while the subplot is the blank. Now, of course, something that a mission brief cannot do is to include your PC's stories, their backstories, their NPCs that they've interacted with, as well as the dynamic going on between the PCs. So when you are taking a mission brief, I would always recommend that you sit back and say, right, that is the mission as it stands. How do I now link my player character's stories into that mission brief? Does it have to be every single player character? No, not at all. It can be one, it can be two. Maybe it's the officer role that the mission brief talks about. Maybe it's the person who's not involved who gets the personal highlight. And maybe there is no personal story in this particular adventure. It's just a good old-fashioned adventure of the week type of thing. It's important to have those too. Eric, I hope this resolves your question on how to use the mission briefs and how to expand upon them. And of course, you can string them together to make bigger stories. Then you need to start to thread in the subtext throughout all of them, linking them all together. But for that, I would suggest you look more at my Borg campaign videos on how to do a longer campaign. That's it for this week. Next week, we are going back in time, and I'm going to show you what this document, what this very old, almost 30-year-old document is all about. So join me as I look at the original Star Trek rules that I wrote as a 16-year-old. Anyway, until next week, I wish you long life and happy gaming.